Welcome to Fox 55's Green and Gold Gridiron.
The 2014-15 NFL season has come and gone. The New England Patriots crowned NFL Super Bowl champions, but we have a lot to discuss when it comes to Green Bay Packers football. Thanks for joining us again. This is our season finale on Fox 55's Green and Gold Gridiron. I'm Brian Groff alongside former Packers and Badgers offensive lineman Bill Ferrario.
How's it going, Brian? I'm excited to be here, but also disappointed that it's coming to an end.
You know, it was a big weekend for the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers won his second NFL MVP.
He did. It was a little bittersweet after the way the season ended, but it was nice to see him win that MVP. It was extremely well-deserving of him to get that award.
And I'm sure it was mostly because Ron Wolf drafted you once upon a time, but Ron Wolf was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Another well-deserving candidate. Yeah, I've definitely some great memories around. I only got to spend a very little bit of time where he was going on his way out while I was coming in, but very well-respected gentleman.
Our special guest this evening also played for the tenure when Ron Wolf was there, so we're going to get your thoughts on that when we get into our Titletown topics. Really no surprise when it came to the end of the season reviewing what happened for the Packers last year, but they let their special teams coordinator Sean Slocum go.
They did. I don't think it was too much of a surprise. When you look at the record that he had throughout the season and all the mistakes that occurred on special teams, it was one of those, just a tough call to try and keep him on board.
Mike McCarthy had his season-ending press conference after we taped last week. So for the recap on that, let's send it over to Jana Wimmer. Yeah, definitely a lot of positives during this season. Just kind of tough to handle with the way things ended at the end of the year. But as we look forward and into the draft and, you know, the NFL season, it's just really never ending.
Absolutely. It's 12 months out of the year, and especially with the coverage we have nowadays, it's going to be exciting to watch, exciting to hear where they're going to spend that money to keep the guys we need to keep, and I truly believe they're going to do it this year.
Well, we're moving forward in our season finale. We will bring back Jana in just a bit, as well as Keith Roding from PackerReport.com, and our special guest, the Super Bowl champion with the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, we mentioned he was there when Ron Wolf was there, the man who signed our special guest, who pursued higher education in his post-football playing career. All that coming up next right here on Fox 55's Green and Gold Gridiron. Welcome back to Scotty's in Schofield. I'm Brian Groff alongside Bill Ferrario, and we welcome in our analysts and our special guest. First, Keith Roding from PackerReport.com, who handed out some grades for the Packers recently.
I did. Our 20th annual Packer Report Awards. It's hard to believe I've been doing it that long, but always fun to do at the end of the year. And Brian, I got to say, I know I was a little down the last couple shows. I was in a great mood after the end of that Seattle game. The perfect ending Seattle deserved, all things considered. I know the guest to my left here played his last season there, but this is all through green and gold frame lenses. So
our special guest here has quite the resume, so I'm going to run through some of this. But first off, the best-dressed man we've had all season.
Yeah, I feel
we're going to start with that.
We need to go change at a
He started his NFL career as an undrafted free agent, signed with the Packers in 1992, played 8 seasons, a part of 2 Super Bowl teams, including the champions of 1996, followed his football playing career by getting his master's and a doctorate, and he is currently the VP of placement at Marian University. A lot of those alumni in the building this evening, and also published a book, Is There Life After Football? Please say hello to George Kuntz.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Let's start out talking about the book right away. It looks like for you there is life after football. How did you decide to follow this path of becoming an author and digging into some of the issues that football players have following their playing career?
Right. It was I collaborated with a couple professors over at Marquette University, Dr. Jones and Dr. Holstein. It's sort of the idea kind of came out of my dissertation. And during my dissertation, I wanted to try to figure out the role transition that former football players go through, because you hear so many stories in the news about players going into the National Football League, playing in the NBA, and then after their playing days, they lose it all. And so I just wanted to do some research, try to figure out why smart, disciplined, good-looking young men have it all, and they lose it all. And that's where the idea came from. It's a great read. Is there life after football? We all know that there is life after football. But we go into some really good research and find out why guys struggle and what they can do to overcome some of those stumbling blocks.
Now, George, I think a lot of people think about concussions when they think of problems that players have in their post-playing career, but it's not just that. It's not concussions. It's not just injuries. It's everything from money management to bad investments to, I guess, getting all this money thrust upon them almost like a lottery winner, right?
Right. And I don't care what neighborhood you come from. If you're 22 years old, 23 years old, and you're given millions of dollars, a lot of times, a lot of the players don't know what to do with it, and they spend without discipline. And that's where they get into trouble, because a lot of them think they're going to play for 10 to 15 years, but the average career is only 3.5 years. And so players thinking, I'm going to spend. Next thing you know, they're out of the National Football League. They've given a lot of money away to their friends, family members, and they struggle big time. But there are a lot of success stories. There's a guy sitting to my left who's done extremely well with his transition out of the National Football League. I think he's, really leaned upon the education that he received when he was at Madison. So.
George, I want to touch on that. Obviously, you're the same, where you leaned on your education and you were set up and setting yourself up for life after football. But what do you think the NFL or these players can do more to benefit the players during their career? Because I know I saw it, and I'm sure you saw it, where these young 20-some-year-olds, like you said, they have money and they don't want to listen. Any of the programs that I saw that were out there, the guys that me and you both would expect to fail don't want to listen or take part in the programs. Where do you think the disconnect is, and do we think there's a solution to this problem?
I think there is a solution, but a lot of times there's a lot of information, a lot of resources, but if you're 22, 23 years old, and you're not ready to hear that information or receive that information, it's not going to really work. So I think that the onus falls back onto the players, because I don't think that the appetite from the fans and from the members in our society is going to have a lot of sympathy for George Kuntz or Bill or Reggie White or Brett Favre, who's made millions of dollars, and now they're complaining because they lost it all. As players and our families have to really support us, because a lot of times when you're out of the National Football League, you have a support system throughout your whole time, whether you was playing youth football, middle school, high school. Then you go to the pros, and you have coaches, you have strength and conditioning coaches as well. You have agents, financial planners, but when you're done, they're gone, and you feel like you're out there on an island, and we have to do something about that.
So, George, let me ask you then, how do you take all these lessons and learnings and even cautionary tales from all the players you talk to, how do you get it in the hands of players that really need to see this?
Through the director of player development, also our union. Our union really have to step up and help the players, because they have to be our uncle, so to speak, because a lot of times when you come into the National Football League, you don't have a guaranteed contract. So you may sign a 4-year deal, let's say $10 million. It's not really guaranteed. Whereas in Major League Baseball and the NBA, your contract is guaranteed. Right. So I think there's two places where you can start. You can start with the NFL, the directors of player development, and also the unions. We have to step it up a little bit.
Going back to the beginning of your professional football career, nothing was guaranteed. You came out of East Carolina. You made the Hall of Fame there, right. Undrafted, right. Played in the World League, signed with an up-and-coming Green Bay Packers team. How did you make that transition, and what did they say in you, and what were you showing to them that proved that you belonged in the NFL?
Well, that was quite some time ago. Back in 1992, I know Ted Thompson at the time, he went down and scouted me. I was in the World Football League / NFL Europe, and they gave me a call, and they said, George, a guy by the name of Ron Wolf want to talk to you. And Ron basically said, do you really want to play in the National Football League? And I said, yes, I do. He said, well, I'm going to give you an opportunity, give you a roster spot, one of 85 players on this team for training camp. Now it's on you to make a difference and show everyone in this organization that you really deserve to be here. And I took him up on that, and I was able to make the opening day roster. And then after the 6th game of my rookie year, I was able to start. I ended up starting 10 games and ended up starting for 116 games in my career, having over 700 tackles. So I'm really blessed to be able to come from where I came from. You know, a little skinny kid from Eastern North Carolina. Had a dream of playing in the National Football League. My mom believed in me. I didn't really get a scholarship coming out of high school, so I had to go to junior college. My mom refinanced her house to pay for my freshman year. She gave me $6,500 because from student loans and my Pell Grant, there was a gap of about $6,500. So my mom refinanced her home. My mom was single parent, raising 4 kids, making $9,700 at the time. She didn't have any money, but she believed in me. She gave me a chance to live out the American dream, and I owe everything to my mom because she saw something in me that I didn't really see in myself. So my playing career, that was great, but it all goes back to my mom who believed in me, this little skinny kid who had a dream of playing in the National Football League.
So, George, and you played with so many great guys. I mean, Reggie White and Sean Jones and Gilbert Brown, but and then, of course, finished up with Seattle. We don't have to talk about that.
Yeah,
but
kind of whisper that.
What led you from that going back into education at Marquette, at UWM? You went and you did the sports administration route first, right?
Right. So I know a lot of guys when you're in the locker room, you talk about your aspirations when you're gonna when you're gonna hang up the cleats, and a lot of my teammates talked about being coaches. I always wanted to be on the administrative side, so I didn't have any experience. I didn't know how to get into it, so I decided to go back to college. So I got into the graduate program at East Carolina University to receive my master's, and an opportunity presented itself with the athletic director at the time, a guy by the name of Terry Holland. He gave me an opportunity. I was the low man on the totem pole. I was probably making about $28,000 at the time, and that was a big drop-off going from the National Football League to making $28,000. But I wanted to really make my mark, so I paid my dues, and then a position came available for the Green Bay Packers, and then every Tuesday and Thursday night I would drive from Green Bay to Milwaukee to take night classes at Marquette University to receive my PhD. It took me about 6 years, but I got it done. But I always wanted to really make a difference because if it wasn't for a football scholarship and my mom believing in me, I would have never went to college. So I'm just blessed to be able to work at Marion University as a vice president for advancement, to be able to raise money for those students. Loving what I do. I'm still in Wisconsin, have a chance to every once in a while interface with former Packer players and have a chance to be around the media, people that covered me when I played. I remember you coming into the locker room many, many years ago, and to be able to still be here and be a part of it, I'm loving it.
There's not a lot of Super Bowl champion PhDs out there. Is there anything similar about those two things, about the focus or determination to be able to do both of those?
I think so. The Green Bay Packers have been playing football since 1921. Over 7,000 guys have worn the green and gold. Only 2 to go on to receive a PhD. That's myself and a former teammate of mine, a guy by the name of Ken Rutgers from Southern California. But one thing about student athletes, a lot of people that are here tonight have played sports, whether it's hockey or soccer or volleyball, baseball, football or basketball. If you could just transfer those skills that you learn playing in the yard or in AAU or in high school, middle school, if you could transfer them over to corporate America or everyday life, you're going to be very, very successful. That's what I had to learn how to do, but I have to be honest with you. When I first left the Green Bay Packers, or when my career days, my playing days was over with, for 2 years I struggled big time. I was in depression because I was able to play a sport that I love for 9 years old at 32, and then when the game kind of left me because I wish I could have played on Sunday, so I felt like a part of me died because football was a part of my identity. And when I could no longer do it, I went in depression like so many of my teammates do. But I had someone to really talk me through it, to say, George, we don't have to reinvent who you are. We just have to redefine who you are. And because your purpose on this earth isn't to really run around on a football field trying to hit people. Your purpose is really try to make a community better in which you founded, and that's my goal.
That's very inspiring. We're going to take a break. Much more to come here with George Kuntz on Green and Gold Gridiron.
Welcome back to Green and Gold Gridiron. We are at Scotty's in Schofield, and it is time for our Title Town topics. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but last weekend Ron Wolf was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He signed our guest, George Kuntz, and he drafted Bill Ferrario. Guys, what kind of legacy does he leave in Green Bay?
I think he leaves a huge legacy. When Mr. Wolf came in, I think the Packers were down in the dumps. He turned the program around, started bringing in guys like George that won a Super Bowl and got him back to a Super Bowl. I was honored to be part of his last draft class, and my last note, the funniest thing was one of his comments on me. It was the first time in my life I've ever been called a boxcar. He said I look like a boxcar on the field, but hey, I'll take a compliment like that from Ron Wolf. So, right. Yeah, I think it's a tremendous honor, and the Packers wouldn't be where they are without Ron Wolf.
Right. I think Ron really, he is the architect to really make the trade, to bring in a Brett Favre at the time. Then also, too, in 1993, I think it was April the 6th, we signed Reggie White, and then that's when things really changed. Ron Wolf made trades for people like Keith Jackson in 1995, gave a second-round draft choice away to the Miami Dolphins, and Keith Jackson said, look, I'm not going to report to Green Bay Packers. And Ron said, well, you're not going to play in the National Football League. So Ron basically took chances, and a lot of those chances paid off. And I think the foundation that he laid, that he built, Aaron Rodgers, Ted Thompson, and Coach McCarthy are standing on those on that foundation currently today. So he is the one that really put the Green Bay Packers back on the map.
Absolutely. I mean, he hired Mike Holmgren, traded for Favre. Later, he traded Fred Vincent for Amon Green, which is almost robbery by NFL standards to get all-pro running back. I mean, the guys he signed from, Reggie with free agency being new, Sean Jones, Santana Dotson, Gilbert Brown was a free agent throwaway the Vikings, and Ron Wolf saw something in him. So just his eye for talent, and even before he got to Green Bay with the teams he put together in Oakland and taking Tampa Bay to the NFC title game. So, I mean, well-deserved for a guy of that caliber to finally get in.
And how quickly they turned it around, never a losing season out of those 9 years that he was there. Topic number 2, Jana.
Tom Brady and Bill Belichick won their 4th Super Bowl title but needed a late-game interception to seal the win. Guys, would you have been comfortable with that pass call, or would you have given the ball to Marshawn Lynch?
Well, I think that I think a lot of times we're overreacting to the play call. But that young man, Malcolm Butler, made an outstanding play. He's a rookie. He had great anticipation. Let's give him a little credit. Let's give him his due. Let's not really put it on the play call, the play selection from what Pete Carroll did over in Seattle. But I'm just excited what that young man was able to do. He studied all week. He saw something. He reacted, and he won a Super Bowl. This young man was working at Popeyes not too long ago. He went to a community college for a couple years. He went to West Alabama. Yeah. And on the biggest stage in the world, he made a play. So let's give him credit. Let's give him his due, because it's worthy of that, because he really stepped up and won a Super Bowl.
Absolutely. I was so happy. I was so happy. That was better than seeing the Seahawks lose by 50. That's got to hurt a little, right? Right at the end of the game, they thought they had it won. But, again, what a great play by Malcolm Butler. And he's the guy that looked like he made this great pass defense on Jermaine Kearse that was the bobbled catch. So he goes from feeling like he gave up the play that was going to win the game to just making the play of the game. And, again, Seattle's got a guy called Beast Mode. Mm-hmm. How you don't give it to him at the 1-yard line, I don't know. But I'm okay with it.
I agree with you guys. I also think it was a great defensive play by Butler. I also heard in the news that Brady may be trying to give the truck, actually.
He did give the
to
truck
Butler
to
for
him.
the MVP award, which was awesome. But when it comes down to the play and the play call, being an offensive guy, horrible play call. If you're going to throw a pass, which I could see a little bit and understand a little bit throwing a pass, you throw it to the corner of the end zone where it's either your receiver or the ball goes out of bounds. With that being said, you have arguably one of the best short yardage running backs in the NFL in your backfield. Right. just run the ball, get the game over with, go home with the trophy. It was a bad call.
Russell Wilson was a stand-up guy in his comments after the game, taking the blame on that too. All right, that's the end of our topic 2. We're going to take a break. We'll have topic 3 and our final pick'em standings.
Welcome back to Green and Gold Gridiron. Former Packers linebacker George Kuntz joins us. It is our final topic of the Green and Gold Gridiron season. So, guys, give me your final thoughts on our year.
I'll start first on this one. I want to say that we put this show together to focus on talking about Packers football, and we couldn't have done it without Bill Ferrario and Keith Roerdink all year. You guys have been fantastic. We've had great guests like George Kuntz coming out all season long. We've had Super Bowl champions. We've had a lot of your former teammates. Awesome. William Henderson came out. Chris Jackie came out. We had guys who played recently in the league like Jonathan Franklin, who ended up taking a job with the Packers. So we really had a wide variety of guests who came in and gave us their deeply honest thoughts. So we appreciate everyone who has come out this year. Bill?
I think it was just exciting being able to work with you guys. It was great having minus the last Packer game, a great Packer season to talk about week in and week out. And I think as we grew together, we started getting in deeper discussions, and hopefully that relayed over where the fans saw that and appreciated it. It was also great to have guests like George and some of the teammates I had and just other guys like Dave Robinson, even for a guy like me to be able to hear the stories and be able to bring their stories to the audience out here in our community. It's been a lot of fun. I've been honored to do it and happy to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, this has been an absolute blast. I was kind of the last guy brought on to the team here, and I think the great thing about it that I've really enjoyed, and I've told you guys this, is that if there weren't any lights and there weren't any cameras and we didn't have people in the crowd, we would just be, 4 of us up here having the same conversations, talking about football, talking about the game. Bill and I would be going back and forth, and I mean, it's been great, and you throw in the guests we've had from, Dave Robinson, a Hall of Famer, talking about, the early days of the AFL and NFL mergers, and getting LaTroy Guion on here, a guy just that was about to blow up for this year's team, and having great opportunities, bringing my sons up to help me make pick'ems at the end after I mistakenly picked the Patriots to beat the Packers. So it's been a great year.
And speaking of that didn't come back to bite you, did it?
Wow.
We're going to take a look at the Fox 55. We had the pick'em standings all year. George, we had the guest position do the picks along with everybody else.
Right.
Bill finished 1 behind the guest at the very end. If Bill would have taken New England.
George, I told him some guys know how to play, some guys know how to pick. And I guess I just don't know how to pick them.
You're blessed.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So that's how it finished, and there was a Terry Bradshaw bobblehead.
Where did it go? Did
I
you
have
already
no
take
idea
it?
where it went. I know that it was a big deal
I actually
for
saw
us
it on eBay
to go after that.
You probably did.
And Jana Wimmer as well. We want to mention her for all the work that she did, really, for everything. We're up here talking. Jana puts all the work into it, putting scripts together and putting all the video together, and she's been a huge part of our show.
Making us
as
look
well
good
this year.
in general.
It's been fun.
Well, I want to thank you for coming, George Kuntz, and everyone from Marion University.
George,
Thanks for coming
thank you.
out.
Appreciate it.
Thanks
Great to have
also to all our
Thank you,
sponsors.
George.
We
Thank
couldn't do a show like this without you. Ben here at Scotty's, all the great work that you do out here, and Robert Raff at Fox 55. This started with a conversation we had going back just prior to the opener for the Packers season, and this all got put together. Our thanks to you. Thanks for everyone for watching and coming out. We'll do it again next year. We'll start this a little bit earlier than the regular season. I think you can count on that. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for watching Fox 55's Green and Gold Gridiron.